Well, our Saturday family day has come to a screeching halt, and I don't think we're ever gonna get out of here. My mom, brother, my boyfriend, and I all wanted to go to this drive-through safari in another state. It was only a few hours away and a nice little day trip, so we decided we should all go on the day we had off. 6 a.m., and off we were. That was 12 hours ago, and we were supposed to be long home by now. We get to the safari and pull in, easily collecting our tickets and greeting our driver, who informed us which bus to be on and what time they were pulling out. We were super excited and managed to snag some of the best window seats around to be able to pet the animals. The problem was, all the windows were barred up where you couldn't even put your hands through. Initially, we just figured it was a safety concern and dismissed it. We could still drop the food they gave us outside the window, and we were happy enough with that. We boarded the bus and waited around a few minutes for the other participants to get on, and after another few minutes, our driver boarded and locked the door. Like a full-on heavy-duty lock that used a key from the inside. I mentioned my concerns to my mother, but she dismissed me and said we should just enjoy the drive-thru. This was a well-known safari, and it was probably just for safety concerns anyways. I nodded and just decided to forget it and enjoy the ride. It was then that I noticed the rifle sitting beside the driver on a ledge. It was quite large and could definitely take down a lot of animals out here. But why would they need that for a drive-thru they complete every day? I shrugged. We began driving, heading through the gate, and started our journey through our life-altering visit. Joking around, taking videos and photos, getting looked through the windows. It was a mess, but fun nonetheless. Until we came across the lion cage. It just sat there, and although we couldn't get in the cage with it, it was terrifying. It sent a chill down my spine, and I just couldn't shake it. My boyfriend mentioned something about its size, but I couldn't bring myself to look away from its eyes. They were cold and almost human-like. Big, deep, blue eyes that stared into my soul and made me feel like I was going to drown. The bus suddenly jumped back into life, and we were headed off again. Everything, honestly, was going great until we got up to the pond. Halfway around the pond, doing our best to count all the turtles sticking up. By the way, I managed to count 120. We heard a siren start. It was quiet at first, and I don't think the driver heard. But as soon as he did, the bus came to a halt, slamming some of us forward into our seats. We all looked around frantically, looking for the reason of the siren as our guide literally stood up and grabbed his gun. He told us to get underneath the seats and to stay put. Don't look out, and definitely don't look at the animals. As everyone slowly started crawling under the seats, he walked around, dropping cloths over the windows, which nearly blacked out all of the sunlight. After a few painfully quiet minutes, the driver let out a scream, and something heavy slammed against the side of the bus. Gunshots started going off, and suddenly he slammed against the door, repeatedly hitting it until the entire thing busted off the hinges and flew open, leaving a bright rectangle of sunlight where he once stood. Except it was obstructed by a huge shadow, a shadow that was getting closer. The bus dipped to the side, creaking slightly from the weight of whatever passenger was loading, and everyone started to scoot back further to the wall, trying to hide from whatever was now boarding with us. Second step, third step, fourth. It was now on the bus with us, and all I could see were furry paws about the size of a bowling ball. Huge paws that were headed right towards us, blood-soaked killing machines. I peeked out and snuck a glimpse of our captor. It was the lion from earlier, but it was bigger, too big for any lion that ever lived and was documented. I was snatched back under the seat by my boyfriend, who silently scolded me, but it wasn't long-lived, as we soon heard a blood-curdling scream followed by a growl, then a crunch, and then blood dripped on the floor. The mother whimpered, slapping a hand across her face to quiet herself. But she was too late. He had heard her, and he tore through the seat to get her. Suddenly, the entire bus was jerked forward about 15 feet. We were sent sliding across and under the seats. My head hit the wall, and I groaned. My boyfriend ended up 2 seats down. My mother and my brother were nowhere to be found. After a few moments, I managed to right myself, get my bearings back, and I noticed something was missing. The lion. He must have left the bus after the massive hit, and I climbed out from under the seat. Another tour bus had rolled down the hill and slammed into the back of us, their driver long gone, with his head missing in the front seat. I shuddered before looking under the seat for my family. My boyfriend crawled out under the seat and helped me look, to no avail. After hearing a growl, we looked over to see the lion had boarded the other bus, so we ran towards the door on ours before noticing another lion in the trees. I grabbed the gun that was splattered in blood at the base of the steps now, and we took off to the pond. We hit the water and did our best to swim across it to the other side, where we saw people running out of the park. Except I looked back and I couldn't find my boyfriend anymore. The water was completely still, and I glanced around frantically. Then a water bottle surfaced, followed by several more, before his hand stuck out the top and splashed around. I grabbed it and tried to help him out, but we were both pulled under by something much larger than us. Down to the bottom of the pond we were dragged, and suddenly a sharp turn to the side before we ended up surfacing. It was under the water, but we had air. Some kind of air pocket somehow. But there we found it. Probably 20 other people were huddled in small groups down there, and the creature that had pulled us under went back out into the water. People whimpered and held their loved ones close, and I guess we just followed suit. We found a corner and propped up, trying our best to ask questions to these other people. but no one even offered to look at us, and they point blank refused to talk. I noticed one lady from earlier. She had the same purse I had fawned over while we were getting our tickets, and I sighed. The rest, honestly, looked like they had been down there a while. Their hair was matted, and they looked skinny. Bad skinny. The cave wrecked. We're all sitting here now. I don't know if this will even post, but I remembered I had put my phone in my bag, in my bra, that just happened to be waterproof enough that it still works. It's only at 21%, and it won't last too long, but I'm hoping someone else who might know what's going on can help us out.